Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. For every 5 times we're stopped in public, 3 of those times are somebody recognizing me from this channel. And 2 are people commenting on my husband's extraordinary beard and often calling him the 4th member of ZZ Top. Until now, that reference has been totally lost on me. Today will be the first time that I listen to ZZ Top. Let's get to it. Ooh.
Rumors spreading round that Texas town, like that shack outside the Grange, you know what I'm talking about. But just let me know if you wanna go to that home out on the range. They got a lot of nice girls there.
His voice goes low. This is so funny. I love listening to bands that I've heard the names of, but I don't know what sound to expect out of them. With a name like ZZ Top, I was thinking it might be like R&B at first. And I thought, no, there's no way with our audience on TCV that it's not gonna be R&B. It's bluesy. Okay, bluesy. It's also way older than I expected. My husband's beard is not that great, just so you know, but it is about that long. It's extraordinary. Essentially, like, you wonder what my type is? Viking. That's it. Nailed it. Woo! These guys it feels like this is just quite a bit older than I thought it would be. I don't know. I was thinking maybe 90s, and I think the band's actually 70s, question mark. Let's go back. We'll talk a lot more about this vocal style too. I love the space, like the quiet between each of those notes in the riff.
Rumors spreading round that Texas town.
It's cool.
Like that shack outside the Grange, you know what I'm talking about.
One of the things that I'm really surprised by immediately off the bat, his voice is sitting super low, but he also kind of looks like Grandpa, right? So this is Billy Gibbons. I have notes. Billy Gibbons. Yeah, he's going down pretty low here. And physiologically, when Grandpa gets older, Grandpa's voice raises. It's sort of this really interesting thing. Like, male voices after a while tend to raise, and then female voices get lower. So Grandpa and Grandma end up sounding like the same person on the telephone. His voice has stayed very resoundingly low. And I hear some of that like telltale sound of gravel down there as well. Sometimes bassy voices just have that, and sometimes you hear that with age too. I'm curious, like, when is this recorded? Like, how old is he at this time? And was this the same sound when they first made this song? I have no idea. Again, no references. This is my first time hearing them. But regardless, at the very, very bottom, we almost get this like crackliness in his sound, where we start to hear the air between the sound waves. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment after we listen to it again.
Rumors spreading round that Texas town, like that shack outside the Grange, you know what I'm talking about.
So the very, very bottom notes in that phrase, you could hear this almost crackly sound that's coming through. When we get to the lowest notes, sometimes it's just crackly because of different functions happening, right? Like maybe like the vocal folds just aren't as pliant as they used to be. But there's also this sort of incredible phenomenon that can happen where our ears can actually perceive the space between the wacka wacka wackas. So, right, what happens with phonation is you take a breath in, right? And then as the air is moving out, the vocal folds go wacka wacka wacka. And it tends to be fairly quick. If we're just speaking, I think that's usually around 200 hertz. Concert A is 440 hertz, meaning 440 times per second that something goes wacka wacka wacka. His low notes there, they're approaching this point that sometimes we'll even call it pulse register, where our ears can start to hear the air between the vocal folds coming together instead of just this pure tone that we perceive. I think it's such a cool phenomenon. And I'm going to go back and let's listen to it one more time.
Rumors spreading round that Texas town, about that shack outside the Grange, you know what I'm talking about. But just let me know if you wanna go to that home out on the range. They got a lot of nice girls there.
Oh my. Oh, that got heavier. Oh my gosh, I love the way he made this like ironic laughter a part of the vocalization. It's almost a melody there. That is such a good riff on the bottom. Ha 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 ha.
It's fine if you've got the time and attend to get yourself in. I hear it's tight most every night, but now I might be mistaken.
Wow, this song to me feels like it's all about attitude and atmosphere, right? It's got a real bad boy feel to it, and it's a real raunchy story, right? And even the little extra vocalizations he's doing, like the ha 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 ha's, and the he did one afterwards talking about like the 10 to get into this establishment. Yeah, it's got a lot of tongue in cheek going on.
Most every night, but now I might be mistaken.
Oh, it's still going. I'm going to pause here, guys. I'm going to pause because I have a lot to talk about, and there are a lot more guitars in this than vocals so far. So we're going to come back to the beginning of this solo, and I'm going to pause it a few more moments, and then we'll let it play out some more. But we need to talk about some things in it, okay? Don't roast me for pausing a guitar solo, please. First big realization. Why do people call my husband the fourth member of ZZ Top when only two of them have beards? I mean, they're impressive beards, and I have to say, they're nicely kept beards. And I've learned about how difficult it is to Keep up a beard. I think that his hair requires more maintenance than mine does. No joke. At least more daily maintenance. Like, whew, that's a lot of attention. Like, there's special beard combs. I feel like at some point on this channel, I have to find some sort of sponsor that does beard products and talk about how awesome my husband's beard is, because that would make a lot of sense. Anyhow, beards are awesome. And the only guy with the last name Beard in this band doesn't have a beard. Is that right? Like Frank Beard, who's on the drums here. When I saw him, I saw that he didn't have a beard. I was like, wait a second. I was going to make a comment because I read these band members' names ahead of time. I was like, yeah, he's named Beard. Like, of course his beard is going to be awesome. He doesn't have a beard. What? I thought it was a requirement of this band that you have a beard. Also, my husband says have much more color in it, but I'm just saying. Okay, let's go back. There are a bunch of things I want to point out in these guitar bits that were really awesome. The overall melodic quality of this reminds me a lot of Slash. Right here. I really want to talk about this moment because they use this a lot in their guitar riffing. And they're often building off of triplets, which have this really cool way of suspending rhythm. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I did it. Just so you know, it's one of the things that we make poor piano students who are having to learn how to keep rhythm in one hand and the other one. We often will make them beat 2 against 3 or 4 against 3. And it can be quite complicated to figure out how to do it first. I definitely recommend you try it now, especially if you've never tried it. This triplet pattern comes up a lot, and it's very smooth. A lot of times when people are doing triplets, they'll end up kind of swinging them, having it like lean a little more heavily essentially on one of the 3 notes than the others, which makes not a perfectly smooth triplet. His are so smooth and even. And then earlier, they're even doing like a faster triplet essentially. So they bring in this idea of triplets, which suspends that driving straight rhythm underneath. They bring that idea in so much during this solo. That was the faster one there. There's already a triplet appearing, one of the slower ones. He uses the slower ones much more often. See how much he is leaning on that particular rhythm? It's a ton. No beard. Right. And there's a faster version there. There's something just gnarly about this guitar. See, there it is. Like I said, so much. Often when you're constructing a solo or a particular musical idea, you construct it off of melodic content or rhythmic content, sometimes both. And this particular solo is so based in that idea of that triplet rhythm. It is just grounded in it. Like if there's one piece of a musical building block we could take from it, that's the piece. It also every now and then will pull from that bass line, which really established, I think, our very first melody in the song. and we'll bring some melodic quality from that. But while there is this, at times, soaring melody, which I said earlier reminds me of Slash, nothing compares to how much it's using that triplet. Okay, back a little bit and I'll let it keep going. I like the way he's listening. What? I'm starting up my keyboard, y'all. Those intervals right in there, and let's make sure that this didn't pause my audio recording here. Okay, audio recording still going. Got it. Yeah, I think those are around the notes. Boop, let's go back. Yeah, I got lucky actually pretty quickly there. It immediately starts with an interval that is bigger than an octave. Octave, this is an octave, right? My ears automatically perk up if I hear an interval or like a leap between two pitches that is bigger than an octave. That is not common at all to have. Octave leaps, they're very exciting. We see them sometimes, but more than octave leaps, wow! And especially when you're doing a leap like this is a ninth, so it's one step more than an octave. And by the way, an octave is an eighth. And one of the cool things about an octave is that it's leaping from a note name to another note name that is actually the same letter name. This is a G to a G. But right here, we're dealing with a G1, G2, G3 to G4. And this is going to be one further, right? What happened after that? It did some more leaping. So as we have this top note that's being held the whole time up to a ninth, which, by the way, that has quite a bit of dissonance in it already, which is kind of cool. This bottom pitch is going down chromatically, making the size of this leap, the size of this interval increase. So we get down a half step. If we reduce it, it would be that, by the way. And then it goes all the way to a tenth here, just essentially increasing the wow factor as it goes along. That's really cool. Oh, and it's working off of a triplet too. There's that rhythm. That's such a catchy rhythm. It's got a lot of syncopation in it. That was cool. So I like the way that we had our drum fill just majorly pick up the energy there. And then you could feel the excitement in the band as it pushed forward and the tempo just a little bit. It got just a tiny bit faster. Right there. They're like, yeah, let's go. They're like, no. Hold it back just a little bit. Milk it some more. Ooh, it was a pitch bend. Those people who are guitar players in our audience, tell me about this. There's a thing that he did here that like muted the tone quality of the sound of the strings. It was really cool. It's almost like what some people will describe in an opera singer's voice as suddenly having cover on it. It was a really, really fascinating sound to me. I've seen people do that with like doing harmonics on the strings before, but not ever in that same. I mean, I probably have seen it in that same range, but it was so such an obvious tonal shift to me. I'm really curious how that's achieved. So let me know in comments and live chat, please. He's so into those pitch bends. Pitch bend. Very bluesy. Right there. It's like it almost becomes muffled. It goes from having this bite, a certain gnarliness at all times in the sound, to being like mellow, like somebody's stuffed too many marshmallows in the guitar and is trying to say chubby bunny. If you know that game, I hope you don't know personally. I've suffered through that in middle school. That's a really cool tonal shift. And there's that slow pitch bend again. Those sounds, especially, I think it's when there's like really plucked pitch bends in a guitar, they just drive me crazy. I don't know what it is. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like Stevie Ray Vaughan does it a bunch. There's tons of guitarists that do it, but that sound in particular just gives me like prickles. That one. These guitars and the straps holding guitars and bass here, I mean, they look pretty fantastic. It looked like there was some sort of Longhorn on there too. I don't know if they're Texas fans. It's like, I feel like it's their version of bling, right? You got some ladies that are really into their Gucci bags, right? These guys are like, no. Guitars. I really like pianos, but can't have tons of those around. But I really like pianos. I think if there was like one thing where I'd be like, I'm going to have this expensive thing, like a showcase, a showroom full of it, pianos. I probably will never get there though. That is way too expensive. But they have a very, very nice, shiny, studded, fancy looking bling. That triplet has been so present. And coming back to that really cool riff. Before this sentence, just one of the reasons that riff is so cool is because of the syncopation in it. I mentioned it earlier, but they're like rhythmically honed in really well. So if we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, ba, 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 ba. Oh, that's harder to do. So I'm saying bop, meaning that's when they play, not mbop the song. I'm sorry, everyone that is now humming that song. Ba, 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 da, da. I think that's rhythm. Ba, 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 da, da. So they're hitting the notes exactly opposite, exactly counter to the beats. And this makes it syncopated, which is really, really cool. Ba, 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 da, da. Yeah. Oh, and we gotta march to the syncopation. No more singing? Thank you, Mom, for teaching me so much about rhythm in piano, for making sure that my hands could do different things at the same time and that I had lots of rhythmic dexterity in my fingers. And thank you husband for having such an incredible, legendary beard that prompted the discovery of ZZ Top. This was super fun. I'm surprised that vocals didn't come back in. I would have liked to hear a little more vocals just because I'm a vocal nerd. But just the overall atmosphere, super fun. And if you want to see some more analysis of super fun music, check out this playlist over here. May you fall more in love with music every day.